As a soldier in Afghanistan, I was trained to expect the worst.
At home, I thought it would be different.
But Congressman Toomey voted against the $1,500 combat bonus.
And Congressman Toomey supports letting Wall Street execs keep every penny of their bonuses.
Toomey said that money for troops was wasteful spending.
Bonuses for Wall Street are fine?
But bonuses for troops are wasteful?
I expected the worst in Afghanistan. I expected better from Congressman Toomey.
Vote Vets Action Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Millionaire Pat Toomey, he's fighting for jobs. In China, after working on Wall Street, Toomey moved to Asia to work for a Hong Kong billionaire who wanted to help the Chinese economy. And in Congress, Toomey voted to give China special trade status. Toomey's vote for China helped cost us 2.4 million jobs. Job killer Pat Toomey. Maybe he ought to run for Senate in China. The Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
She's disgusting. She's disgusting. It reminds me of this last weekend, the former president of Mexico, right? Vicente Fox. We will build the wall, don't worry. We will build the wall. We will build the wall. And who's going to pay for the wall? Pay for the wall. You know, we have a trade deficit with Mexico of $58 billion. $58 billion. And these politicians, Lion Ted Cruz and little Marco Rubio, who actually he's not bad because he never shows up anywhere. I don't know what the hell, what does he do with all his free time? He's got the highest delinquency record in the years, okay? That is not the kind of person you want representing Florida. That's not the... I built an incredible company, look, just in Florida. Can you imagine this? And we have to, and I say this, and I say it very strongly. I wish we had some real protesters, some protesters with guts. Remember when the two young women came up and they took over the podium and microphone from Bernie Sanders? Do you remember what he did? They're screaming at him. He's standing there like this. And what did he do? He retreated. He went back here. They took over the microphone. I promise I'm representing you. I promise that will never happen to Trump. Ever. See, our great police, they did a good job. Thank you, police. We love you. We love you. They don't play games. The police in this country, believe me, the police are not treated fairly. One act, which was a mistake, or somebody was a bad apple, and it's played in the news all the time. We have to give more credit to our police folks. And we have to stick with it. So then on top of everyone else and everything else, we have Mitt Romney, who choked in the last election. I never thought he was a smart guy. And I keep wondering, I see he's with Steve Forbes today. And I thought Steve Forbes liked me. And they put me down at 4.5 billion net worth. Why is it that Forbes, they just raised me $400 million this year? Now, I should be happy, right? And I am happy. What difference does it make? But I couldn't understand, why are the Forbes numbers so much lower than the value of what I built? And I started off with very little, by the way. How about this idiot gets up, my father gave me $200 million. $200 million. I only wish, because we own the world. But I like this better. I'm having this is much better. But I got a call from my brother and my sister, two great people. I love them. And they said, why don't you correct that? That's so ridiculous. 200, that is so ridiculous. In fact, they said, by the way, if he gave you 200 million, please let us know about it. We'd like a chunk of it, okay? I started off with very little. I started off with great knowledge because I had a father who was a great guy. I had a father who, if he would have seen the Iran deal, and if he would have seen that we gave them $150 billion to a terrorist state, and you know where they're spending that money? Buying Airbus jets, 118 Airbus jets. They're spending it all over Europe. They're spending it in Russia buying missiles, right? They're spending it in Russia buying missiles. They're spending it with everybody but the good old USA. Not gonna happen anymore, folks. Not gonna happen. And we should have never agreed to negotiate. Remember the armament deal, great success, all that stuff. We should have never agreed to negotiate. 4 years ago, as they got them, they should have released our prisoners. We should have never, ever agreed to negotiate. And I tell people, and I have fun telling, it's one of the dumbest deals I've ever seen. Let's say they have our 4 people. It actually used to be 3, then they added somebody from the Washington Post, okay? So they had 4. But I would have gone in very or one of my great representatives. You know, you heard about Andy Beale, you heard about Phil Ruffin, you heard about all of these Carl Icahn, many of the great business people are endorsing me. Many of the great. And we're going to use them to negotiate our trade deals. These are the best people in the world. These are the greatest negotiators in the world. These are the greatest business people in the world. They don't want anything. They don't give campaign contributions and then say, oh, now appoint me to chief negotiator against China. China is so smart. Mexico is so smart. If you look at Japan, the deals they've made are so smart. Saudi Arabia, we protect Saudi Arabia. Before the oil went down, so now they're making half. They were making $1 billion a day. And we protect them for peanuts. It's gonna all change, folks. It's all gonna change. It's all gonna change. It's all gonna change. And it's gonna go fast. But my father used to say, and somebody from one of the big papers loved the story, they said, could you repeat the story, but I'll repeat it. But my father used to say to me, you're too tough. You gotta take the lumps out. That was the expression he used. He loved me. And he was a strong guy with a great heart. But he'd say, Donald, you're too tough. Take it easy. You gotta take the lumps out. And he'd go like this, take the lumps out. Is somebody protesting back there? Get out of here. Out! Out! Get him out. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. Don't hurt him. Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah. Sure, man. You had your 5 seconds of fame, man. Get out. Don't hurt him. You know, it's funny when I say, like, I'll say don't. When I go, get him out and bump, you know, then they go, it was terrible the way he talked. So I sort of have a middle ground. I say, get him out. And if it's too tough, I say, don't hurt him, don't hurt him, don't hurt him. This way I don't get criticized by the press. But my father, he had a great way, and he was a very, very good negotiator. I learned so much from my father. It wasn't the money he gave me, because the money, he loaned me a small amount of money when I started, 1979, 1980, and I built it into a great fortune. And I will tell you, I learned a lot. He used to say, son, take the lumps out. You're too tough, you're too direct, you'll make too many enemies. Me make enemies? Didn't he do a great job with me? Didn't he do a great job? Me, enemies. Look at Romney, the poor guy can't even breathe. He hears the name Trump, he goes, oh, I can't breathe. What a dope. I mean, look, he did one of the worst jobs in the history of politics. He should have won his election. If he devoted the energy and the time to winning his election against Obama 4 years ago, we wouldn't be wasting time here today. This guy was a disaster, okay? I always hate second guessers. There's something about second guessers. And Romney, and I said this, Romney came to see me, and he begged me for my support. He begged me. And what did I do? I said, drop to your knees, drop to your knees. No, I didn't say that. But if I did, he would have, I'm telling you. Now, he wasn't worth 200 million, but Steve Forbes is his friend. So Forbes raised me just a little while ago, 400 million. They said, I made 400 million. It's much more than that. They said, and now I know why. It's over 10 billion, but now I know why. He's meeting with Romney all the time. They're friends, the whole deal. I'm telling you, they're railing against us. They've never seen the establishment is a disaster. The Republican establishment, they don't know what they're doing. The only reason I mentioned this is the fact that we need this kind of thinking to get rid of our 19 trillion in debt, to get rid of our tremendous deficits with every single country we do business with. Why should we be protecting Saudi Arabia from practically nothing? They wouldn't exist if it wasn't for us. Why should we, every time I order thousands of television sets, thousands, I order them from South Korea. Get them out. Get them out. See, these are bad people. You know the funny thing, we all come, we want security, we want a strong military, we want borders, we want to have a country, we want education, we want good health care. We're going to appeal. I'll tell you what, we are going to get rid of Obamacare so fast. But we want to have a good life for our families and ourselves. And we all want that, whether you're Democrat or Republican. And these people, they're just, what's going on? It's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. So, let's go back to my father, right? So my father would always say, take the lump sum. Son, take, and he'd always go like this. I remember my father passed away a number of years ago. But he'd always say, take the lump sum, take the, and I learned. So here's what we do with Iran. Let's say I'm the negotiator, I'll be the negotiator, even though it's not very presidential. Disaster John Kerry was. He never wants war. So here's what we do. We take the lumps out. Now, before my father gave me this lesson, I would have walked in, I would have said, I want those prisoners back now. I want them back. And you know, it would have taken a long time. Probably would have gotten it. Now we say, fellas, we got a problem. The prisoners are with you. The prisoners are with you. You don't want them. We do want them. Going to make for a better negotiation. Let them go. We leave because they're not going to do it. We leave. The Persians are great negotiators. We take off. We double up the sanctions. They will call you within 28 hours and they will say very nicely, congratulations, you have your prisoners. We got our prisoners. Now we have our prisoners back. Now in the old days, I would have said, they're landed, they're safe. This 4 years ago, before we start, I would have said, I would have walked in, I would have said, we're not giving you the $150 billion. Do you understand me? We're not giving you the $150 billion. But because of the fact, hey, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, but my father was still a better teacher. So, and they were great, but he's the best. So now, I would have said here, now I go in different. I'd say, fellas, we got a problem. We're bust. The country has no money. We owe $19 trillion. 19 trillion. The horrible omnibus deal that was signed, can you believe that deal? The horrible deal that was signed recently, it's going to bring us up to $21 billion. We don't have the money, I'm so sorry. I want to give it to you so badly. We don't have $150 billion. We don't have $150 billion. And here's what's going to happen. We're going to leave. We're going to double up the sanctions. They're going to call us again. We're going to start. We've just gotten our prisoners back 4 years ago, and we've just gotten out. And by the way, that's not like 80% sure, 95, 98.7, 100%. We'd get the prisoners back, right? And we get the money. We're never going to give them the money. They would never get the money. I feel so badly that we gave them $150 billion. And the sad part is, if I win, I don't get that money back, but I'll find out a way to get it back. I will find a way. I find it. So the new thing is this. The new thing is, how do we stop Trump? Everyone's trying to figure out how to stop Trump. country, folks. We have a terrible president who happens to be African American. Near Massachusetts, which was so great. And you see, well, it helps. He loves you, and you don't win Massachusetts by a landslide. Where we had an arena, we had 12,000 people. Bernie Sanders, the same exact hour, had 3,000 people at a different site. The next day, they talked about how big the crowds were for Bernie Sanders. And I said, wow, that's unfair. That's really unfair. All right, you ready? Can the protesters stop for a couple of seconds so we can talk? Just for a couple of seconds. Give us, like 5 minutes and then you can protest again because I'm so proud of selling out this place. This place is crazy. By the way, and I have to say this, we really sold it out twice because the people that were told, I'm sorry, we can't get you in, are more than what we have inside. So we really sold it out twice, which is great. So now the move, my guy's like Choker Mitt. I call him Choker. He's a choker. He chokes. You know when somebody chokes, we all play sports, a lot of us. Usually, don't admit if you are, but usually if a person is a choker, it never changes, right? Right? I mean, if you look at Secretary Kerry, he choked on the Iran deal. He choked. He should have left that room a couple of times, walked away, doubled up the sanctions, and he would have made a much better deal. He never did that. He was afraid to leave the room. He choked.
But he doesn't have.
But usually, if you look at it, a choker, we don't want chokers. Do we agree? We don't want chokers. We don't want chokers. When I watch what Chris Christie did to your no-show senator at the debate before last, when Chris grilled him, and Chris endorsed me, by the way, which I love. But
He doesn't have.
Chris Christie, I never saw anything like it. Little Marco's right next to me. And Chris Christie is grilling him like a good prosecutor. And Chris is grilling him, and Marco keeps, we have somebody else. All right, we need a doctor. A doctor. We have a doctor, a woman fainted. A woman fainted. We love people that faint. And I think it's only faint. Are you okay, darling? Okay. Take your time. Take your time. Put them in the guns. They shot 49 of the terrorists with the bullets loaded up with pig fat and pig blood, which is not something that, let me explain, not nice, not politically correct. I don't think they'd allow that today. Do you agree? They shot 49 of the 50 terrorists. And the final terrorist, just before he was going to be shot, they went up to him. They said, here, take this bullet. This bullet was meant to you. And he hardly wanted to touch it. Take this bullet. It was meant for you. Go back and tell your people there'll be no more terrorism. For 28 years, there was no more terrorism. Look it up in the Philippines. General Pershing. Rough guy, tough guy. 28 years, they say, there was no more terrorism. Now, we can be babies, we can be foolish, we have to be vigilant, we have to be strong, we have to be smart. When Paris happened, it was sort of an amazing thing, that attack in Paris, where the press was calling the leader the mastermind. And the kids, we're losing our children. They're going over, they're fighting for ISIS. Because the press calls people masterminds. He's not a mastermind. He's not a mastermind at all. He's not even an intelligent person. I call him the guy with the dirty hat. Remember the white hat? I call him the guy. So they send people in because Paris, by the way, has the toughest gun laws in the world. Just about. France has the toughest gun laws in the world. Only the bad guys have the guns. Now, if a few of you, like that guy with his hand up, a few of you had guns wrapped around your hips or guns wrapped around your ankles and you were in that room, and you had bullets going in the opposite direction, I guarantee there wouldn't have been 130 people killed. Many other people in the hospital right now. So we have to totally protect our Second Amendment, folks. We have to do it. We have to protect our Second Amendment. In California, when you had the radicalized woman come over and radicalize probably the young man, now they're radicalized, and they go in and they kill their fellow workers. Workers that gave them baby showers and parties. Workers that they knew, workers that, from what I hear, they liked. They went in and they killed 14 of them. Others, like in Paris, in the hospital, will never ever be the same. They went in, boom, boom, boom. 5 military people that were killed in a gun-free zone. Think of it, in a gun-free zone on a military base. Now we have soldiers protecting us. Why do we have gun-free zones on a military base? I mean, that would mean that you should never have your soldiers have guns. And all these guys that complain about guns, like Michael Bloomberg, who used to be a friend of mine, by the way. No. Like many of them, they're complaining about guns. So here's what you do. Tell them immediately to take the guns away from their bodyguards right now. Take the guns away from them. And let's see how they feel walking around certain places, okay? Let's see if they're happy. I don't think they're going to be too happy. So we're going to protect our Second Amendment, me, more than anybody else up here. We're going to protect our Second Amendment. We are going to get rid of Common Core. We are going to bring our education locally with love. Unlike Jeb Bush, he used to say that people come in as an act of love. Oh, there's no act of love. So we're going to get rid of a lot of things. We're getting rid of Obamacare, we're replacing it. Okay? We're getting rid of Common Core, and we're going to have our education locally. You know, I tell the story. In 30 countries in education, 30 countries, the United States is rated number 30. You have Denmark, Sweden, Norway, China, and others. They're the best. And yet, in terms of cost per pupil, we're number 1 by far. Number 2 doesn't. What's happened with the campaign? So we're number 1 in cost, and we're the least, we're the worst in terms of education. You have third world nations with better educational systems than our country that we love. We can't have, you know, we talk about the American dream. People can't have the American dream if they don't get educated. I mean, it's just not going to happen. We need education. So remember, the most expensive, the least for the buck, right? Now, my campaign, let's talk. I've spent the least amount of money, and I'm number 1 by a lot. I'm killing everybody. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be beautiful? I mean, in New Hampshire, which was really just a great place and a great state, and I told them, we're going to stop heroin from coming in. We're going to clog up that border. We're going to stop heroin. That's all over the country, but in New Hampshire, they have an unbelievable thing. But in New Hampshire, I spent $2 million, and I was number 1 in a landslide, right? It was a landslide. Do we agree? Even those people would say, it was a landslide. They don't know what's happening. It was a landslide. I was number 1, and I spent very little. Somebody else spent $48 million. So I spent in New Hampshire very, very little money. And somebody, I won't mention names, but somebody spent $48 million and lost and came at the bottom of the pack. Spend less than half the best. It's going to happen. I'm building a hotel now on Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, and I guess I'm doing it for two reasons. Number one, I do it because I do it. That's what I do. But I got it from General Services, GSA, very professional people, by the way. Of course, if I didn't get it, I probably wouldn't be saying that, but that's okay. But I got it. One of the most heavily bid, one of the most heavily contested in the history of the GSA. It was probably wanted by more people than any other thing. You know, it's on Pennsylvania Avenue, right between the White House and the Capitol building. The most incredible building, the most incredible location. They gave it to Trump for two reasons. I have the best statement you've ever seen. They got to make sure it gets done. And they love the project. It's going to be one of the world's most luxurious hotels. We'll employ a lot of people and all of that. And they made the decision, and they boiled it down to 10 companies, great companies. I won't name the companies, but you heard of every one of them. And they chose, in the Obama administration, they chose Trump. Can you imagine that? Which tells you two things. Number one, I have a great statement, and it also tells you we have a great concept. And it will. It'll be one of the great hotels in the world. But here's the story. So we started construction. We're 2 years ahead of schedule. We were supposed to open in September 2 years from now. And instead, we're opening up in September before the election. Isn't that great? So listen to this. So we're under budget and 2 years ahead of schedule. Wouldn't we love to have a country that could do that? You ever see these projects that we have where there's a 2,000% cost overrun and 1,000%, you know what 1,000%, where it costs many times what they projected? That won't happen with me, folks. It doesn't happen with me. You know, we have contractors in this country that they are so rich. They make so much money. They take the money from government. That's not going to happen with me. I will start a new set of procedures where that stuff doesn't happen, folks. We can do that. It won't happen. Now, the nice part about the hotel, if I don't win, I'm living on Pennsylvania Avenue anyway, okay? All right? So now, the new group is trying to stop Trump. And that's going to make a lot of people happy. And they actually mentioned in some of the papers that if that happened, where we're doing so well, there'd almost be a revolution. It would be. I mean, because the last thing that you people are going to take is having a lightweight like a Marco Rubio, who's terrible, having a guy like this, or Lion Ted Cruz, or some politician in charge of this. We can't have it anymore. We can't have it anymore. I really mean, they're talking about serious problems. But here's the story. So now what they're doing is they're saying, you know what, we may not be able to stop Trump. By the way, speaking of Trump, and speaking of stopping and helping, you've got to get out to vote, folks. Got to. Now, remember this. It's Tuesday the 15th, Tuesday. So it's not this Tuesday, it's the following Tuesday. It's Tuesday the 15th. You know what I would do? Just in case you get sick, you don't feel good. And even if you get sick and you can't walk, you gotta get up. Have somebody lift you up. I'll even call you, I'll pay for it. I'll get an ambulance. But listen, here's what you have to do. You have to get, so it's not this Tuesday, it's the following Tuesday. If we win Florida, it's over. If we win Florida, you can early vote. You can get, right? You can go out and you can vote early. So go and do it. Go vote. You got it. Okay, wait. Let's do a pledge. Everybody here, who likes me in this room? Okay. I've never done this before. Can I have a pledge? A swearing. Raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear that I, no matter how I feel, no matter what the conditions, if there's hurricanes or whatever, that's good enough, will vote on or before the 12th for Donald J. Trump for president. swore bad things happen if you don't live up to what you just did. No, I really appreciate it. I mean, we're having an amazing period. It's an amazing period. You know, they used to call this the silent majority, but it wasn't nearly as big like this. They used to call it the silent majority, and I was sort of using that name, and some people didn't like that name because for whatever reason they said it had sort of bad connotations, okay? But I don't need that name, because we're not the silent majority. We're the really noisy majority, right? So now what they're trying to do, the establishment, and you know, they had the wrong messenger in Romney. I mean, how do you use a guy who should have won an election and lost horribly and maybe be good? Their messages could be good, but he's the wrong messenger. But let me just tell you. So now what they're thinking of doing, because they don't think they can stop us, all right? Maybe they can, I don't know. Hey, look, my life is okay. I mean, a lot of people say, why are you doing this? You have such a great life. You built this great company. You have a wonderful family. I'm doing it because this country was so great to me. It's payback time, folks. It's payback time. So now, what these absolute naive people, they're naive. What they want to do now, they don't know if they can stop Trump, so they want to start a third party. Remember, I did the pledge that I wouldn't do that. So I do a pledge, and then they do it, right? Okay? Thank you. That's all right. Get him out. Get him out of here. So I do a pledge, and then they don't do a pledge. But they did a pledge, but they don't honor anything. But here's the story. So they want to start a third party, and they want to put a couple of clowns in there that will take away enough votes that we won't be able to beat Hillary, right? So this woman, just think of it. We lost a great justice. Justice Scalia. My sister is a high judge, and she knew Justice Scalia, and she said he was a great man. She said he was a great man. My sister knew him very well. And we lost a great judge, unexpectedly. See, this is what happens in life. Nobody ever talked about him. It wasn't going to be him. You have people that are older on the court. You have people that they thought were going to be leaving. You had other. Nobody ever talked. And all of a sudden it happened, out of nowhere. One day you pick up, he was a great judge, a conservative judge, a brilliant judge, a fair judge. He had so many qualities, and a brilliant judge. And that's what we want to replace with, as close names of great conservative judges. Okay, so here's the story. Here's the Republicans, and this is where it doesn't work for them. It's called the Supreme Court. Because let's say they put a couple of Republicans, just as scapegoats, they can't win. But they'll put in a couple of Republicans, and these Republicans will take off 5%, 2%, 3% of the vote, right? And now Hillary goes in. We're going to have to replace, probably over the next 4-year term, it could be as many as 4 Supreme Court justices, including Judge Scalia. Can you imagine what will happen if that happens? Now, I don't know if these people are thinking right, because I pledge that I'm going to put on good, conservative, brilliant judges, right? If a Hillary gets in, or whoever, I don't know how she can run. I'll be honest, I don't know how she can run. But let's assume she'll run. Don't forget you have a statute of limitations question here. Let's assume that she runs. And do you know what she would do with the Supreme Court? She would have 4 judges, and maybe more, that she'll do over the next 4 years, including Scalia. All this work that everybody's doing not to appoint a judge, that would go to Hillary if she wins. So when the Republicans want to play games, and when they want to, look, this establishment group, headed by Mitt Romney, who's not a smart man, I'm telling you. And Steve Forbes, I'm telling you, I finally found out why they never give me the right number in Forbes magazine. I finally find it out. I read it this morning. They're friends. I can't believe it. I always liked Steve until now. But here's the story. But I don't care. I don't care. But remember this. If they do that, folks, number one, they're doing it to you. They're not doing it to me. They're not. My life will be a lot easier, believe me. They're doing it to you. They're doing it to the movement. Take a story I've ever had it talks about this movement, that there's never been anything like it, that the people are in love with each other. We have a great country. We have a country where Apple is going to start making their iPhones in our country. Believe me when I get finished. Believe me. We have a great country, but we have leadership that almost is non-existent. We have incompetent leaders. We're going to have really, really smart leadership. And when that happens, you're going to be so happy. I'm going to give you one quick story. One quick story. Carrier. Did you see it 2 weeks ago? Carrier air conditioners. I buy a lot of Carrier air conditioners. I'm not going to buy them anymore. No, I'll go with Train. But Carrier air conditioners made in this country, they announced that they're moving to Mexico. They did. Somebody had the cell phone going. Somebody had the cell phone going, taking the pictures. And 1,400 jobs are gone, right? They're gone. Like nothing, like magic. They announce this probably mid-level guy is up on the stage. I'm sorry, but we're moving to Mexico. They fired everybody, essentially. And I said, that's terrible. Now, Ford is building in Mexico. Nabisco is building in Mexico. So many people are building in Mexico. I love Mexico. I have thousands of Hispanics that work for me. When I won Nevada, I won with the Hispanics. I love the Hispanics. I love you. I love you. But I have thousands of Hispanics that work for me. And they're great people. And remember, in Nevada, I won with the Hispanics for both. So what happens is this. We have these eggheads that think they call them the elites. I say, why are they elite? They're more elite than me. Why are they elite? Half of them can't tie their shoes. And they say, Donald Trump is not a free trader. I am the greatest free trader. I'm the biggest free trader. But it has to be smart trade. It has to be even trade. We can't have trade where we can't lose $500 billion a year with China. We can't do this. So here's what we do. We tell Carrier, and I want to do it myself, but they're all going to say it's not presidential. I'm not supposed to be calling this President Carrier. Do we agree? But maybe I'll do it anyway. Let them say I'm not doing it. But I'll get Carl Icahn, or I'll get Phil Ruffin, or I'll get Andy Beal, and it'll all be very good. Believe me, folks. So here's what happens. We call up Carrier. And we say, I'd like to congratulate you on your move to Mexico. Congratulations, I think it's wonderful. You hurt 1,400 people and many more. And by the way, United Technologies, which owns Carrier, is moving a lot of other divisions there too. Okay, not gonna happen. By the way, if I'm elected, not gonna happen. So here's what I tell Carrier. I'd say, congratulations, I hope you build a beautiful place. I hope you employ a lot of people from Mexico. But you're hurting our country. So here's the story, folks. Every air conditioning unit that you make that's put across the border, which will be a real border now, it's not coming across unless they have our permission, right? Every single air conditioning unit that you make that comes across the border, we're going to impose a 35% tax on that. Now, if little Marco is president, which isn't going to happen, or if Lion 10 is president, okay, here's what's going to happen. They're going to be called by their lobbyists. They're going to be called by the special interests. They're going to be called by donors and stockholders that gave them money for their campaigns. By the way, I'm self-funded. You know, I'm self-funded. I'm putting up my own money. Okay? I don't think I get any credit. I don't think anybody says in Florida, oh, I'm voting for Trump because he's self-funded. Let me tell you something. That's a good reason to vote for him. Because all of these guys remember what I said. All right? So, and they're not stupid people. So they know it's bad to have Carrier live. They don't have to go to Wharton and they don't have to go to high school. Anybody knows it. So here's what's going to happen. If Rubio gets a call, if Ted gets a call, if Hillary gets a call, whoever gets a call, immediately, they're going to say, you can't do that. They contributed $5 million to your campaign. And immediately, okay, you're right. We can't do that. We don't want to be this. I understand that. But nobody gave me anything. I've turned down so much money. I feel so foolish. I feel so foolish. You know, my whole life has been a life of accumulation. Money, I want more money. I don't even know why. You know, it's like, just keep going. Money. I want to build more buildings. Many buildings along Miami. I want to build more. And I say sometimes it's been greedy. I want to be greedy. Now I want to be greedy for the United States of America. people. And we have to be rich before we can be great again. We have to get rid of our debt. We have to get rid of so many things. We have to balance our budgets. But we're going to take care. Look, when these countries, and we're protecting them for nothing, you know what? We're going to speak to them. I'm a great messenger. We're going to speak to them properly. They're going to love us, and they're going to help. They're going to pay. They're going to help defray the cause. They're going to pay. You're going to see changes made so fast and so good. So here's the story. Some people would say that's not free trade. Every single person in this room understands that's the right thing to do. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. Carrier's going to call me, and they're going to say, Mr. President, we've decided that we're not moving, sir. Okay? It's the only way. By the way, just so you know, I know more formula than any human being that God ever created. And by the way, speaking about God, I will be the greatest jobs-producing president that God ever created. I will tell you that. I will tell you that. And Carrier won't move. Now they'll build a new plant. Maybe they'll use their old plant. They'll negotiate with their employees. Maybe they're going to move down to Orlando. Who the hell knows? But they're going to be in the United States, all right? They're going to be in the United States. So look, we have a chance to do something monumental. There's never been anything like this. And this isn't me saying it. This is these people saying it. We have a chance to do something monumental. We're going to start winning again. We don't win anymore. We don't win with the military. We can't beat ISIS. We don't win with healthcare. We don't win with education. We don't win anymore. We're going to start winning again. We're going to win with our military. We're going to build up our military intelligently, not even necessarily with such great cost, intelligently. We're going to buy the weapons that our generals and our soldiers want, not the weapons that we buy. Not the weapons that we buy because one company is politically stronger than another. I mean, you've read this, I've read it all my life. They buy an airplane that's slower, doesn't maneuver as well, and is more costly because that company had more political punch than the other company whose plane the generals want, right? Not gonna happen anymore. We're gonna bid out the drugs. We're gonna bid out everything. People are now going to pay. The drug companies, you take a look, the drug companies, they take care of all these people. And then we wonder, why aren't we going to bid with the drug companies? Because the senators don't want that. They don't want that. So here's the story. We're going to start winning again, like we've never won. Our military, you're going to be so proud of it, and we're going to knock the hell out of ISIS, okay? Quick. We're going to take care of our vets. We're going to take care of our health care. We're going to take care of education. We're going to take care of our borders. They're no longer going to be Swiss cheese people walking. We're going to have really powerful borders. And people are going to come into our country, but they're going to come into our country legally. Legally! And you're going to remember this afternoon, because we're all together, we're partners. You're going to remember this afternoon. And you're going to say in 2 years from now, and 3 years from now, and 4 years from now, that this was one of the great afternoons I've ever spent. And you're going to go, and on the 15th, Tuesday, you're going to vote, or before then, hopefully before then. Do it now, do it today, do it tomorrow. But you're going to go and early vote. I'd love you to early vote, but I won't hold you to it. But remember, you all swore you're voting for Trump. You can't change. You are going to be, and I promise, you are going to be so proud of your president, and you are going to be so proud of your country. I love you all. Thank you very much. I'll see you.